creation of an infrastructure for the same. Second, Law Panel explores income tax relief to single mothers. The Law Commission is examining whether single mothers can be relieved of the income tax accruing on maintenance payment for a minor in a divorce settlement. Sports headline: the India-New Zealand One-Day International Series was the highest-rated bilateral ODI cricket series in the last 3 years. Principal broadcaster Star Sports said.
Start करना
Inching closer to its target of rupees 13,000 crores in advertising revenues from this year's IPL, Sony Pictures Networks India, official broadcaster of the popular 2020 league, has signed 3 more associate sponsors, Voltas, Havells and Michelin. Sanjeev Kapoor-led Sona Group is set to buy out its partner Mitsubishi Minerals Corporation 25% stake in Sona BLW, a 75:25 joint venture between Sona Holdings and Japanese firm. Indian football icon Aichun Bhutia revealed that his tenure as the advisor of All India Football Federation got over at their annual general meeting in December last year.
Punjab National Bank is looking to sell around 7% stake in mortgage lender PNB Housing Finance. At present, 7% stake is a newly listed company with stakes nearly 1,200 crore rupees. HDFC Securities has bought Rural Electrification Corporation with a target price of rupees 184 crore. Barcelona beat Celta Vigo by 5-0 in the first leg of La Liga Championship.
पिछले 2-3 years moving to the center stage of global energy market, and by the early 2020, it will replace Russia as the world's third largest refiner, a top official of the International Energy Agency said. Taking the country's largest lender has announced imposing penalty ranging from 2,200 on a non-maintenance of a minimum average balance in savings bank account from 1st April. Sports Rohan Bopanna and Leander Paes was included in India's Davis Cup team, which will be against Uzbekistan in Group 1 round. Done? Okay. Now, can we have a quick recap of what we did in the last class, communications?
What is corrective feedback?
Yes.
Giving feedback to seniors, effective communication,
So basically, it was all related to feedbacks, how to give feedback,
anger management,
And one-to-one communication.
and one-to-one communication in terms of face-to-face communication. So today we're going to study about written communication and emails. So can you tell me, in written communication, what factors would you consider? What is written communication? How do you, where and all do you use written communication?
It could be a formal communication, a written communication.
Application.
Okay, applications,
Mails.
letters, emails. So there is a format, there are certain rules when you are basically typing an email or writing an email and forwarding it for your work. It could be your seniors, it could be your juniors. It is very important that certain things when you use, in written communication, that those has to be applicable and those has to be well properly mentioned in a letter. I mean, like with proper punctuations, no spelling mistakes and no grammatical mistakes. See, because one sentence would actually end up changing the meaning of the statement altogether. So when we see about the objectives in this chapter, you will be able to define the written communication, advantages of written communication, how to write an effective letter, learn to write a memo and effective email. So there are 3 factors: a letter, email and memo. So 3 different things. So we're going to study about these. Post the chapter, we'll have a practice also. You will have to come up with, I'll give you a topic where you will prepare a letter, a memo and an email and send it to me on the email. We get this exercise corrected because this is very important, one of by far the important chapters. Now, written medium. When we talk about the written medium, as in like any communication which is written, it becomes very safe. See, a lot of times you have a verbal communication, but in professional world, in corporate world back there, how much ever you take the communication on a written medium, it's much safer and much better. That's why it says, like here also when we work in an organization, we've always been said that, okay, take everything on the email. Because most of the time you may not remember whatever you had a conversation, one-to-one conversation with someone. But when it is on email, it becomes official. So we'll see the advantages. Planned and controlled. You have permanent record, wider reach and minimal distortion, which means that obviously it is planned, it is controlled as per the agenda, what you have basically planned that, okay fine, this is what the email I'm supposed to send. Say if I give you an example of like you have to give an application or write an email regarding a leave. What and all you mention, the reason for leave, the date, when would you be coming back and how would you be covering your backlog, right? Whatever you've left behind. Permanent record, obviously now it's going to be there for months and years because you've already mentioned it. Wider reach, because if you want to send it to like 2-3 people, you are able to send whatever communication you want to give it to either your HR, your direct supervisor, you can do through emails. And you cannot do any changes in that. If I'm sending an email to Snehal today regarding an application and Snehal wants to forward it further to Shama, so she can't do a lot of changes in the email below I have written. Although she can, but then when anytime she cross-checks the original letter with me, I would come to know that there she has done a distortion. Correct? Now when I see the disadvantages of written medium, delayed feedback. Obviously, people do take a lot of time. Unless and until you get a written communication, you will not be able to give a feedback on that. Few non-verbal cues. Now there are certain non-verbal cues, you must have not mentioned in the email, but you've had a conversation with the person. So if you've missed out that written, where is that thing gone? Oh, you had mentioned this also, but that is not mentioned in the email. If someone says this, then you will think, oh my god, why did I not mention it in the email? Cumbersome and time consuming distribution. Obviously, see, when I want, say if I want to say that, okay fine, holy so and so day will be declared as a holiday, it's easier for me to come and tell you and announce that in the class. But at the same time, now if I want to give a written communication, I'll be sending an email to individual IDs, which will take at least 1 hour, or at least I will be doing after the sessions. I may not announce, but at the same time I'm going to go to my PC, type an email and send it to individual IDs. That will take at least 1 or 2 hours after I finish all my work, then I do that. So it's time consuming. Preparation and production is cumbersome. You have to plan your sentences, you have to plan the way you are typing an email. It could be an order email, it could be announcement email. Written communication. Now, choose the correct form of written communication, choose the correct language, use of word, grammar, use modern technology, conduct research for effective business writing, and avoid discriminatory expression, which means, okay, one more thing, all the words called as slang when we use LOL, what's up, hey, short forms, BRB, be right back, what we use on WhatsApp, you're not supposed to use on the emails. You say where, when we say that where is your bag? So a lot of times we write you are for your. You're not supposed to write you are, you're supposed to write the exact spelling of your. Okay. Organize your thoughts and write for goodwill and building relationship and understanding. You have to organize your thoughts, put it into proper sentences. Those sentences should make sense. Whatever you're trying to communicate to the other person should be simply prepared and written in an email. It should not be complicated. Use simple language, simple words, simple grammar. No one's asking you to use difficult language, big words, something which is very clear. The message comes and reaches out very, very clear. So that is what they're trying to talk about, written communication. Go ahead. Now, written communication, stay away from. Now, what are the things which you should avoid while writing? Too many words and too many big words. Now if I keep a sentence, you know, if I write a sentence and if I use too many big words and the sentence is not making sense, there's no point. Glitches and jargons, now use words which you know that the other person will be able to understand. You know, you don't have to make the letter very complicated if the other person does not understand what is happening, what is this lady trying to talk on the email. Vague expressions, use proper exclamation marks and do not give certain expressions while writing which changes the meaning of the sentence. You know, like you want to write a different sentence in terms of goodwill, but when you write the sentence, the meaning itself changes. Like a lot of times, you all make changes in terms of, you know, rural, you will call rural. I don't know, you call ruler. This is what you call. Now, ruler is scale. Rural is, it's a rural area, okay. Like agricultural things happen there. So usually villages is a rural area. So if I write this, if I want to say rural area, if I write rural area, the meaning itself changes. So use simple words and use the words which you're wanting to explain. So correct word, correct grammar. Okay. Then sexist language and condensing statements. You should not be writing offending statements. You should not be writing only addressing to one particular sex in terms of she, he. It's not supposed to be like that. Negative expressions, do not use negative like you have not completed the work, I am going to probably throw you out of the company. Such statements are not supposed to be written. There is a way to convey a message that your performance is not being up to the mark. If you are not performing well, there will be necessary action taken by the HR. Now, this statement is enough to tell you that okay, your performance is not well, and if I don't perform, there will be some problem. They may be telling me to move out of the company, but there is a way to say. They will say necessary action will be taken. So, but we all know the meaning of necessary action, but this could be one of them. Inattention to details, inattention to the reader, lack of commitment and passive construction. So lack of commitment as in like, you know, when you are basically typing, you know, you are not giving a surety, you're like writing, oh maybe this could happen, maybe that could happen. If you're writing in your own thoughts, you know, you're writing a story which is not required. A letter should be very, very professional, to the point, whatever you want to communicate, plan, organize your thoughts, then put it in words. Simple English, simple language, no grammatical mistakes, proper punctuation, and you should use like simple words, not big words and complicated words. People do not understand the meaning. Do you know what is passive sentences and active sentences we did? So active sentences is very clear, which says that okay, the book, like this book belongs to me, right? Like I would say retail banking belongs to me. So someone will say that okay, fine. If I would say that this is my book, retail banking is mine, the passive sentence would be retail bank belongs to me. So this is again a very, you know, like elongated sentences. Use active sentences which are to the point, which reaches to the answer quickly. Now we talk about the letter. Now how many of you have typed a letter? Normally you must have typed a letter, right? In school, colleges. So what were the basic things you used to write in the letter? Okay, to, from, subject, very important, date.
Applicant.
No, not applicant. So basically what would be the subject matter, the body, when we say the body of the page includes what? Letter में आप क्या लिखोगे? What all things will you be adding in letter? Like what? Don't look at the board. So every time I ask him, he'll like look at the board and like, okay, let me answer after looking at the board. Anyway, okay, I'll explain. So now imagine this is a letter, okay? Now a lot of times a letter may have a subject, may not have a subject. Depends. But here in this letter they're not showing a subject. Number one, on the left side of the page, it's basically an A4 size page. The recipient's address should be displayed at the top of the left hand side corner here. address. Okay, now this could be the recipient address, your address. So basically, recipient address is the one whom you are giving the application to. Now here, your address should be displayed at the top right side of the corner. It should be your address. So you write to the manager and then their address and your address. Now, your greeting should be displayed on the left, just beneath the line on which the date is mentioned here. You mention the address and the date and then directly, dear sir, madam, however it works. The date should be displayed just below your address. So here is the date. The person whom you are addressing, his address, your address, date, and 1, 2, 3, and the fourth one is greeting. Now this is the mail body. The letter body. So the letter body would basically, you have to write your matter here now. Now it could be, say you're declaring, you're making certain announcement or you're giving a certain application. Say customer is going to the bank and now the customer is really upset about the EMIs being hit to his account again and again after being cleared also, due to which the customer has to bear a lot of bounce charges. So it's a complaint letter. So customer would write maybe a subject line saying that the complaint regarding so and so loan account I hold with your bank. Okay, now this much only will be written in the subject. Now the body will have an explanation that I had taken a loan on so and so date from this bank, this much loan amount, this is my EMI, but the problem is I am clearly being, I'm a regular customer, but again and again the EMI is being hit in spite of my EMI being cleared, due to which extra money is going into my loan account, and if there is insufficient fund, it shows bounce charges. Why is this happening? So there's entire explanation will be here. Then there is where you sign, or this is where you sign off, you're faithfully and you're sincere. Here you will be doing it. As I said, the main body of your letter, and the last will be, this is where you sign and print your name. So beneath the corner, the left hand side corner would be yours sincerely and your name and your signature. Are we clear with the letter? See the concept of letter once more again, because we are going to tell you to make a letter and then email it to me. Then we'll get it corrected. So it's a small exercise which you'll have to do. Now memo. Memo is very different from a letter now. Okay, a letter has a detailed explanation and description about a certain matter. Now when we talk about memo, is very short, crisp, to the point. Whatever message needs to get communicated to a person, it will be only that. Now this is how a memo looks like. Maybe to the manager or to the employees from, say, like Shweta Chopra, I'll mention the date, I'll mention the subject, holiday announcement, for example. Now, discuss or talk about the purpose for which the memo was sent. There is an assortment of reasons for which a memo is sent. Okay, now, which either can be sent to the staff to inform about changes in the work hours or so on. So basically, two things, like I'm just going to put like holiday announcement. So you would say that this memo is in reference to the holiday which we will be having on Holi. So whatever the work is left out will be carried on post Holi. So and so date will be declared as Holi, for example. Now in other words, like the working hours which was earlier for 10 hours have been reduced now to 8 hours for the lower level laborers which are working on a per day basis, or maybe a memo like this. So this will get circulated in the entire company. Short, sweet, only one message which needs to be communicated to the entire staff will go through memo. So this memo would be probably be on the notice board or something like that, which would be like, for the passers and everything, they will start reading it. And it will get circulated among the different departments also. Clear? So very short, very crisp, to the point. It only communicates the message you want to communicate. It does not have a detailed explanation.
Memo is given
by hand or
It's like basically on the notice board or something like that, like by hand you give it or something like that. Or we can send it through an email also if it's important, like maybe like an higher authority that this is what has been announced today. So this is a way of announcing certain things. Okay. Now the third and the most important thing is email etiquette. This is the most which you're going to use out of letter and memo, because you know that you are going to be pretty well versed with the emails and everything. And in every organization, all of you will have to type emails and send emails. It could be your supervisor, your juniors, your seniors, everyone. Let's see what this includes. Use standard font throughout the message. Avoid colored fonts. Black and blue are acceptable. Do not use red font. It does not give a good impression. Keep the font size visible and constant. So a normal standard font size will be between 12 to 14. That's the standard. And use a font, like probably which is much more clearer, which is visible, which does not like you're not too confused while saying the font. Okay, I can't understand what is written. This should not come into your mind, and even to your audience as well, whomsoever is reading this. Keep the font size visible and constant throughout the message. Watch your words. The words should be very simple, clear, and should not be offending someone. Okay, as I said, you have to think, organize your thoughts, and then put into proper words. Be concise. Be very short and crisp in whatever you want to do. You don't have to write stories. You know for what you're writing a letter. You're writing a letter for certain reason. Mention that. So it has to be short. I would say that this would have a more detailed way of expression, where if you compare it with a memo. But still, it may have 2-3 lines extra, but it needs to communicate your message across very clearly. Don't make antagonizing or critical comments. Don't put like, how come this work is not done when I said this has to be done? I mean, if you are sending it to your seniors, there is a way to type a letter to send it to your seniors. That does not mean that, you see, if I read your letter, it should not feel that I am being disrespected. It should not give me a feeling that, the other person is basically, I'm not talking to the person over the phone, but his email was enough to scold me. No. A lot of times if you're putting an email for a request for leave to your supervisor, it has to be in a very sweet manner. That you know that you are requesting, you're not commanding, you're not demanding certain things. Right? So, may I request you to please give me an approval, or request you to please grant me leave for 2 to 3 days. Mention your reason why are you taking it. These are the things. Now, few people like spam, unsolicited emails. Now see, there are a lot of emails which will come. Now all of you have email accounts, okay? But there will be a lot of emails of shopping and other stuff which is not important, that goes into spam. So don't make such emails and don't get involved in such emails. Nothing is private. Anybody may and can and will read your message. Now, you have to decide whom you have to send an email and whom you need to choose your readers basically. If it's important for you to mark CC to all 3 of them, like say for example, if I need to make an announcement today and I'm sending certain requests to my supervisor, I will mark my counterpart, that is Neha. So she should be aware that okay, whatever is going on in the organization, okay fine, this is what our discussion has happened, now I'm sending it to the supervisor. If I feel that there is no need, then I will just communicate. Like there are certain people whom I am going to personally communicate for certain work, only sending to that person. If Sneha wants to send it only to Shama, the conversation will be between these 2. But if she thinks that the conversation needs to be, the other people needs to be aware of whatever the conversation is happening, you all will be in CC. Copy. Okay? Clear up till now? It's a very easy chapter, but though it's a very important chapter. Now, further it says that keep attachments to minimum. They overload the system and tax patience. Basically, when you have certain attachments, there will be 5 MB, 6 MB. So avoid doing that. Avoid sending a lot of pictures. If you think that certain documentation is very, very important and you need to send an attachment, okay, then only attach it. Unnecessarily, because it's going to block your email. And plus, it's going to take a lot of space. And if it takes space, it will not download and it will use a lot of time. Never assume things, for example, emotions. Like the smileys you keep sending, don't send all these things on a professional email. It's not a good idea. Okay, so don't assume. See, a lot of times, I'll give a small example. You all chat on WhatsApp, just small certain smileys and all you don't understand. So I may be typing in a different attitude. You are assuming in a different attitude. I've typed very sweetly, but you take it. Oh, how come you're saying like this? Then you have to say, dude, I didn't mention that. My intentions were not to hurt you. I said very sweetly, but in a message, can you see the expression? So type in a very comfortable language, which you know once and always read 2-3 times before sending an email. Very important, because you will find out some of the other error and you will start correcting, recorrecting things. Don't use all capital letters. Use short graphs. Keep the message short, around 25 lines. Proofread each message and limit a message to one subject area or purpose. Avoid using acronyms, for example, as I already mentioned a few slides back. LOL, IMO or LOW. So these words are shortcuts. You're not supposed to use shortcuts. Now imagine if I'm typing an email to a supervisor and I'll say LOL. So this is all very unprofessional. Yeah, it sounds really funny. We are not supposed to write the entire email in capital letters. It's very difficult for people to read it properly. Only where it is required. So as I said, organize your statements and thoughts and then write in simple language. Basically, what is the objective of writing an email? That you need to communicate certain amount of message. If that is only not getting across properly, what is the use of writing an email? Right? Do not place a message below your signature line. Like, once you've signed, which means that you've ended the letter or the email. You're not supposed to write one more. So a lot of times in emails, like once you write thank you, regards, so and so person, name, email, everything, you have a message below. Avoid all those things. It again creates confusion because it's not important for you to read. There's nothing wrong in it. Basically, people, they like putting certain good thoughts for the day. It's not required. Remember, it will be seen every time someone receives a message from you and will have a negative impact. Use the subject line. Let the recipient know what is your message all about. Be clear about but concise. Reference supporting material. If you think that a particular email needs to be supported with certain Excel files, certain data, you have to attach those files. And if those are Excel files, you need to password protect them, which is very, very important. As per, because certain data are confidential, so it's always better to password protect. Define and explain attachments. In your message, describe the content and format of the attachment. Like say for example, if I'm sending, I asked you certain IDs yesterday but you're not working for feedback. So I'll write the details in an Excel and I'll say, please find the attachment, please find the enclosed attachment of the data. So the person knows that, okay fine, I'm writing one line about the attachment. What is the attachment all about? Please find the ED Finpro scores attached. And I'll put the attachment accordingly. Clear? Are you clear up till now? Use reply or reply with history. Not reply to all or reply to all with history. It is not necessary for everyone to do it. A lot of times what happens, history is basically, say some case is going on, as I said, about a customer issue is going on and Shama's first sent an email to me, then I sent it to Sneha for approval, Sneha sent it to Shama back, then again it was sent to Sumit to Suraj. So basically it revolves in different departments if the issue is huge. So when you have to type and when it is coming to a resolution, you're providing a solution to a customer and you need to show certain evidence, okay, that those are called trail mails. You need to reply on that mail, not on a new mail, because you will lose the plot. How will you come to know where this case is starting from? What is the problem? Let me read through. Then you will go down and see all the emails and see the history, geography about everything, and then you understand, okay, fine. This was the case. Now I need to take a decision on this. So that is why we say use history. And if you think that only you two needs to communicate, so just mark reply to or just to Suraj. Sumit. Rest, if are not involved, not required. So basically it's that. A lot of times we do reply to all. So people for whom the email is not necessary and important also, even they are getting and they are reading it for no reason. It's not required. For example, when saying great, I'll be there, okay, with me, or thanks. So such things, yeah. Know when to pick up the phone. If your message generates a string of 4 or more replies, it's time for a phone call or a meeting. Basically, as I said now, there is a dispute going on with you and a customer. You know basically that the customer is right, and you are fighting and defending the customer with your branch manager. You and your branch manager have had a conversation 3 or 4 times. You've sent reply, happens 3-4 times. Now you should call up. Sir, I think this is what the case is. Can we come to a conclusion? What is happening? So the branch manager may end up calling you. What are you writing in the email? What is wrong? Call me in 10 minutes. So then you will have a telephonic conversation. The moment you have a telephonic conversation, there will be certain conversation being exchanged. So what do you have to do in the next after that? That doesn't mean that your email conversation stops. You have to say, sir, as per our telephonic discussion, this is what the conclusion we've come up with, and this is what I'm going to communicate to the customer. Then you can involve people who are always a part of this case. Mark CC to everyone because it's almost going to end. So when the line says as per telephonic conversation, so anytime people will understand, okay, we've had a conversation over the phone. And any which ways you are typing whatever the conversation you had over the phone. So the person cannot deny that maybe getting a point. So in this scenario, if you have a question that may evoke or follow-up question depending on the response, call rather than email. If you think that certain questions you're putting the person may not understand or maybe a little offending or something like that, it's better to call up and ask. Like so many times you all message on WhatsApp to ask certain details, and we tell you please call. It's because why tell you that there are certain things if we type you may not understand or you may understand. We are not sure. We're still uncertain about it. So the best thing is pick up a call, explain this is what the thing is, because a lot of times what a verbal communication may have an explanation, you may not be able to type it properly. I'm just giving you an example, but it's always said that you can start with an email, take a written communication proof, have a telephonic conversation after at least 2 to 3 replies, right? Or if you feel like that you first need to have a conversation over the phone, do that and then put everything on the email. So can we have a quick recap of what we did?
Advantages and disadvantages of written communication.
Okay.
Advantages for planned and control.
Okay.
Permanent record, minor rich, minimal distortion.
Alright.
And disadvantages are delayed in feedback.
Okay.
Few non-verbal.
Be a little louder, Suraj, I can't hear you.
Delayed feedback.
Delayed feedback. Okay.
Few non-verbal cues.
Okay.
Cumbersome and time-consuming.
Time-consuming activity.
Preparation and production is cumbersome.
Okay. Next.
Email etiquette.
Written communication.
Okay.
So,
Words should be avoided
avoid.
in written communication.
Okay.
Too many words should not be there.
Okay, now I want
Jargons.
Sumit also to answer.
Should avoid jargons,
Jargons.
vague expressions,
Okay.
negative expressions,
Negative expressions.
inattention to detail, inattention to
So what were the 3 types of things we studied today?
letter, memo,
Letter,
and
letter, memo, and
So you missed the memo basically. I'll just take you to the slides so you can just see. So that. Yeah. So I'm just telling you. So memo is basically just a very short form of communication you're basically doing for an announcement. Like you want to declare a holiday, or you want to change for working hours or something like that. So you circulate this in your own company. Short and only a few small message or an announcement.
What is the difference between the notice and
There's a lot of difference. Notice will have again a detailed conversation on it. So you know, it will be like from whom to whom the notice has come. The subject of the notice will also be there. And then it will have at least little more conversational lines than a memo. A memo would be just saying that it's a holiday announcement. So yeah, to the point. So and so the staff will, okay, so we can say that, okay, say 14th March will be declared as holy and there will be no office on that particular day. So the backlog will be completed on so and so. That's it. But a notice needs to be detailed.
And for giving any person a warning, memo is also
Yes, a warning also a memo is there. So now your exercise is that you have to make 3 things, that is letter, memo and letter, memo and email. So a letter will be okay, the first thing, the memo would be that you have to give a message to your staff. Okay, the concept you can choose, but the message needs to go from CEO to the staff. I leave and I give you that much of liberty that you can basically decide what you have to talk to your staff. Okay, so which means I will get 4 different memos. When I talk about letter, so the letter needs to be a leave application, medical leave application. The letter needs to be according to that plan. And your email should have a customer complaint. So basically this customer complaint would come from a customer. Okay, he must have already told you that this is what the complaint is, and now you need to highlight this to the customer service department. It could be anything, but just make sure that it is beyond that I didn't get a bank statement, I didn't get a checkbook. Little more detail should be there in the letter. So it becomes easier for you to understand the difference between 3 topics which we studied, the letter, memo and email. So you know how much you have to write. Okay.